When we think about modern intensive agriculture, we usually imagine tractors, chemical fertilizers, and industrial farms after Second World War. But more than a century earlier, Britain experienced a remarkable agricultural system known as high farming. Between roughly 1840 and 75, British agriculture reached some of the highest productivity levels in Europe. This period is often described as the golden age of British agriculture. High farming was based on scientific knowledge, capital investment, modern technology, and expanding markets. In many ways, high farming was the first modern agricultural system. In this video, we will explore what high farming was, why it emerged, how it worked, and why it declined. High farming was a system based on high inputs and high outputs. Farmers invested heavily on fertilizers, drainage, machinery, improved seed, livestock breeding. The objective was simple: maximum productivity per acre. Unlike traditional agriculture, high farming depended on scientific method, capital investment, and market demand. Agriculture became a commercial enterprise rather than a traditional way of life. High farming represented a major stage in the agricultural revolution. To understand why high farming developed, we must consider agriculture policy, especially the Corn Laws. The Corn Laws restricted imports of foreign grain in order to protect British farmers. These laws kept grain prices relatively high and stable. Stable prices were essential because high farming required heavy investment. Farmers spent money on fertilizers, machinery, drainage, and buildings. Without reliable prices, such investment would have been too risky. The Corn Laws created a protected market where farmers could expect profits. In this sense, high farming was not only a technological transformation, it was also supported by economic policy. The Corn Laws encouraged farmers and landowners to improve their land and adopt modern farming techniques. The Corn Laws were repealed in 1846 and Britain moved toward free trade. At first, high farming continued to expand because productivity increased and urban demand remained strong. But in the long run, free trade would contribute to the decline of high farming. High farming depended on a new type of farmer. Historians often describe this as enterprise farming. Enterprise farmers treated agriculture as a business. They focused on investment, efficiency, innovation, and profit. They were willing to take risks and adopt new methods. They invested in fertilizer, machinery, drainage, and improved livestock. These farmers were the entrepreneurs of the 19th century agriculture. High farming depended on this entrepreneurial spirit. Without enterprise farmers, intensive agriculture would not have developed. One of the best examples of advanced agriculture in Britain was found in Scotland. During the 19th century, Scottish farming was considered among the most modern in Europe. Scottish farms were often larger, better organized, and professionally managed. Scottish farmers adopted plant crop rotations, soil improvement methods, incentive livestock production, and careful farm management. Large tenant farmers were especially important. Landowners invested in improvements such as drainage, buildings, infrastructure. Tenant farmers then applied modern farming techniques. This cooperation between landlords and tenants created a highly productive agricultural system. Scottish farming became a model for high farming across Britain. High farming was closely connected to scientific progress. During the 19th century, agriculture became increasingly scientific. Farmers began to understand soil chemistry, plant nutrition, crop requirements. Artificial fertilizers played a major role. Farmers used guano imported from South America, nitrates from Chile, phosphate and potash. This fertilizer increased yields dramatically. For the first time, soil fertility could be maintained artificially. This represented a major turning point in agricultural history. High farming was therefore an early form of input-intensive agriculture. High farming depended on technological innovation. Farmers adopted improved soil, such as iron plugs, harrows, cultivators, reaping machines. Drainage was especially important. Large areas of farmland were improved, though tile drainage and mole plugging. Better drainage allowed farmers to cultivate heavy soils more efficiently. Steam powers also began to appear on farms. Steam engines were used for threshing, plugging, processing crops. Mechanization increased productivity and efficiency. High farming depended on expanding markets. The railway revolution transformed agriculture. Railways allowed farmers to send fresh food to cities, reach distant markets, and reduce transport costs. Livestock could be transported faster and in better condition. Industrial cities created enormous demand for food. Cities such as London, Manchester, Birmingham needed large supplies of grain, meat, and milk. Farmers responded by increasing production. Agriculture became fully integrated into national economy. High farming required large investments. So farmers spent money on fertilizers, machinery, drainage, buildings. This created a system of high costs and high outputs. When prices were high, farmers earned good profits. But high farming was also risky. Farmers depended on stable prices, good harvests, strong demand. As long as prices remained strong, high farming expanded. The golden age of high farming did not last forever. In the 1870s, a major agricultural depression began. Cheap grain arrived from the United States, Canada, and Russia. New railways and steamships reduced transport costs. British farmers faced strong international competition. Grain prices fell sharply. High farming became too expensive. Many farmers reduced investments. Some farms were abandoned. The golden age of high farming came to an end. High farming represents the first modern agricultural system. Many features of modern agriculture already existed: intensive production, chemical fertilizers, mechanization, and market integration. High farming shows that modern agriculture did not suddenly begin in the 20th century. Its origins go back to the 19th century. High farming teaches us an important lesson. Agricultural systems depend on technology, markets, and policy. When these conditions change, farming systems must change as well. High farming was not just a phase in British history, it was the beginning of modern agriculture. Long before tractors and synthetic fertilizers, farmers were already practicing intensive scientific agriculture. High farming was the foundation of the agricultural world we know today.